Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Joey's Scarf. My name is Linda. You can find me all over as Linda Grace. That's Linda with a Y. And this is a yarn, knitting, and crocheting podcast. I'm coming to you from central New Jersey, and where we had a little bit of snow today. Not too much. It's already stopped, and it's probably not going to melt because it's going to get a little colder later on. Today is January 6th. It's a Monday, 2025. I have restarted this video about 3 times because I kept saying 2024, but it's 2025. So Happy New Year to everyone. And today I'm going to share some works in progress and a couple of FOs with you. And later on in the podcast, I am going to read one of my little stories, and I had introduced that segment last episode, and today the story is going to be about Beth, and I'm going to save that till the end, and if you want to stick around for it, I would be happy for you to do that. I won't be insulted if you're not interested. All right, so let's get going here and see what I've been working on. So I finally finished my muscle burr hat, and it is huge. I made this one with DK weight yarn, and I think it's much better with sock yarn. And I did the whole gauge thing, and I thought I was doing it okay, but it just came out so big. I'm going to put it on. I mean, I can wear it, but it's big, but it is warm. So if I'm outside, this has got like a double layer of around my ears, and it feels very nice. It's very soft. It's just a little big, which is okay. I mean, it's not tight on my head, but it feels comfortable. And it took me a long time to finish this because there's just a lot of stockinette, and this thing is, like I said, it's huge. I wanted to give up so many times, but I kept going and learned my lesson, I guess, with this. Don't know how soon it'll be before I tackle another one. But the next one I'm going to do will be with sock yarn. Yeah. So this is the other reverse side. And I'm going to keep it for myself. I guess I think I even put this in the dryer. It still didn't shrink very much. So that's my muscle burr hat. And then I had some yarns left over. Some of this and some of this. So I decided to make a cowl with the leftover yarns. And that's what this looks like. And I'm just going to put it on over this one. But this is very warm also. And yeah, that's what this is. It's just no pattern. I just cast on as many stitches I thought would be okay. And in the round, I did a provisional cast on and then Kitchenered the two ends together when I was done. Yeah, so that's this. And actually, even though this is a lot of stockinette, I didn't mind so much doing this for some reason. Maybe because there was no rush to get it done, and I just, just enjoyed the knitting. That's my cow. So if you're a knitter, I'm sure you've heard of the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. Lots and lots of people have knit the scarf. I've knitted it, but I don't know where it disappeared to. And it was a year or so ago, I guess, that I knit it. And I wasn't too happy with the way it came out because I didn't make it big enough. It was way too short. Stephen West came out with a version recently of the Sophie scarf. So this is Stephen West's pattern of the skinny scarf, I guess, or neck scarf. And this is about the shape of about the same shape as the Sophie scarf, but this was his version. And it's pretty cool to knit. It was all different patterns all throughout the scarf, and I really liked it. And I like the shape of it, and it just seems to be the right size. I had seen a couple of people attempting to crochet a Sophie scarf, a Sophie style scarf. So I decided to try and see if I could come up with something. So I found a tutorial on YouTube, and if I can find it again, I will link I will put a link below in the description box. But this is what I came up with. So I got the basic beginning from the video. So you start off with this point and, you work up and make it as long as you like. And then at the end, you decrease. So I like the shape of these sort of as an accessory rather than something to keep you warm. So I would kind of wear that like this. And then tie it like this perhaps, and kind of wear it like that. And I really like that. Keep your neck warm, and it's not bulky. And I like the shape of it. It's a DK weight yarn, chain 16 stitches. I was doing a griddle stitch, the griddle stitch, which is you just alternate single and double crochets across the row, and that gave it this texture. If I make another one, I would probably make it exactly the same width because I think it's a good width. I might not make it as long though. If you watched my Vlogmas in December, you'll remember that I was making these scarves out of yarn that I got from the dollar store. This Premier Just Chenille, and I just went crazy. After I made a couple, I just decided I really liked doing it, so I went crazy and bought a bunch of yarn from there. I went overboard, and as you'll see here, I've got quite a bit left, and I was going to make an afghan or a blanket with it, but I decided to continue to make these scarves, and what I did with the other scarves I had made, gave a few away as gifts, and then I donated a bunch to, So I'm gonna do that with the rest of this yarn. Every once in a while when I'm tired of doing the project that I'm working on, I'm gonna just stick my hand in the bag, pull out a couple of skeins and make a scarf, and just start making a pile of scarves to either give as gifts or give away to a charity. This one's done, pretty much done. It's pretty long. I'll probably stick a little bit of fringe on the end. I've used about 3.5 skeins for this. And this one is the linen stitch that I'm using with this. So again, some nice texture. My friends, if you knew what I have gone through to create this video today, it is just not going my way. I've dropped the phone. I've dropped the camera. My camera is my phone. I've dropped that about a dozen times. I've restarted this many times. I'm getting really frustrated. And if this makes it, it'll be something else if this video makes it today. So before I read you the story about Beth, I just want you to know that it is a very thinly disguised story. Maybe you can guess about who the story is about. When I read the story, I wrote the story in several years ago, maybe 2015, I think, from my blog, which is called Linda Grace, An Hour Away. When I reread the story, it brought up some feelings that were difficult. And it was very interesting how when I wrote the story, I was obviously in a much different stage of my life than I am now. And the story made me think about my mother, actually, and how relatable my situation now is to her when she went through the same thing when my father passed away. And I didn't realize at the time. I mean, I knew how hard it was for her. It was hard for us losing my father, but it was not the same for her as I am finding out now. So I have such great empathy for her and what she went through, and realize how strong a woman she was. And I don't know if you'll get that from this story, but one of the other things that really threw me for a loop was I was reading some of the comments from when I originally wrote the story. And one of the comments just hit home. And it just was right on the mark. And it's hard. It was hard for me to see that comment, because this person zeroed in on what I was feeling, but didn't even realize that that's what I was feeling. And it has nothing to do with the apparent theme of the story, but it goes deeper for me, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it there. It was very astute of this person to pick up on that part of that layer of the story. I wanted to remind you that at the end of these 26 stories, I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this, I'm going to be doing a giveaway, maybe every 5th story. If you comment through all 5 of these stories, if you don't have to do you don't have to comment on every story, but I'm going to take the 5 episodes and put all the names of the people who commented, and I'm going to pick a name and I'm going to do a giveaway. So every 5 stories I will do that. So this is story number 2. So if you comment, you will be in the running for a giveaway. That's it for today. You'll hear the story next. It'll be at the end, along with some pictures of the pond. And I hope everyone is having a good start to the new year. And I will see you next time. Bye now. Beth. Beth was the oldest of 6. She, her mother, father, and 5 siblings lived in a modest 3-bedroom ranch-style home. All of the rooms were off a single hallway. The bathroom was the first door on the left. Her brother's room was the first door on the right. The room she shared with her 3 sisters was at the end of the hallway. Her parents had the largest room, the last door on the left. She thought about how crowded it had felt, all of them residing there in that narrow hallway. Her father was an early riser. Every morning, the creak of her parents' bedroom door opening woke Beth. Next came the scuffing of her father's slippered feet as he headed down the hall to use the only bathroom. She remembered the sound of his chronic cough and constant clearing of his throat. The metallic sound the top of his treasured engraved World War II Zippo lighter made when it flipped open was ingrained in her memory. It usually took several flicks of the flint wheel before he could get it to light. The odor of that first drag would waft down the hallway and slither under her door. Afterwards, he would head into the kitchen to make coffee in the wherever aluminum stovetop percolator. While he waited for his brew to finish, he would pad through the living room to open the front door, which always stuck, and it squeaked when it finally gave way. He would reach out to grab the newspaper from the front porch and then slam the door shut. After he finished his coffee and paper, he would head off to work. Beth had her own morning routine, a few quiet, treasured moments before the bustle and din of the day began. As soon as she heard her dad leave, she would get out of bed and go into the kitchen with a copy of the latest book she was reading. Weather permitting, she would sit out on the front stoop, trying to get through the next chapter before the bustle and din began. Her brothers wrestling with each other, her sisters squabbling over clothes, Mom trying to get everyone off to school. It seemed important to her then, almost a luxury, to be able to have her own space and time to herself. Her father had long since passed away. Her mother spent the last days of her life in the nursing home. Her siblings were scattered about, living their own noisy or quiet lives, depending on which one you were referring to. Her 3 children were maneuvering through the passages of their lives, that of jobs and careers, mortgages and car payments, marriages, divorces, and new loves, child support and visitation agreements, babies and preteens. They lamented to her about never having enough time. Maybe they would visit next Sunday, they promised. She assured them that she understood. This morning she sat at the small cafe kitchen table, sipping her tea, thinking about those times. She stared out the window, waiting to see which bird would be the first one at the feeder, and it was quiet, so sadly quiet.